from a $350K rookie condo to an 8-acre Missouri compound with a private football field. These NFL players built empires in real estate. This is the top 20 NFL player properties ranked. Before Patrick Mahomes was signing half-billion-dollar contracts and building dream compounds on 8 acres of Missouri land, he was a rookie quarterback buying a 1,800 square foot, 2-bedroom condo in Kansas City for $350,000. December 2017, 2 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. Apparently that's all a future dynasty quarterback needs to get started. And that's exactly what it looks like. A sensible, almost aggressively normal first purchase for a guy who would go on to sign the largest athlete contract in US history just 3 years later. The $503 million Chiefs deal, the custom built-in compound, the private pond, the 50-yard backyard football field, the resort pool. None of that exists yet. Right now, it's just a condo and a kid who knew Kansas City was home. "This is the first house either of us ever owned," Mahomes said on the tour. The humblest one? D tier. Saquon Barkley spent $4 million on a house in 2023, and instead of dropping that on marble entryways or a 12-car garage, he spent it on a Kobe Bryant-themed basketball court. Custom, full-sized, named after a man who died in January 2020 and clearly never left Saquon's head. The house also has a Pop-A-Shot game room, a private movie theater, and enough sentimental square footage to make a grown man tear up on the tour, which Saquon basically did. "I wanted to do something special for Kobe," he said, walking the court. "He's somebody I looked up to my whole life." At $4 million for an NFL running back on a $26 million Eagles deal, this is practically frugal. It's not a flex property, it's a tribute property. A guy who could have bought a compound chose to build a shrine instead. Quietly wholesome, loudly deliberate. B tier. Now, Justin Jefferson. The man signed a 4-year, $140 million extension in 2023, making him the highest-paid wide receiver in NFL history, the richest pass catcher on the planet. And he lives in a townhouse, not a compound, not a gated estate, a townhouse. The kind of place your college roommate brags about because it has in-unit laundry. Jefferson's been pretty open about it. He doesn't see the point in dropping $10 million on a mansion just because the league says he can. No home theater. No basketball court named after a deceased legend. Just a guy running routes for $35 million a year coming home to shared walls and an HOA fee. "I don't need a $10 million house," he said. "I'm good." The league's richest receiver, the most modest address. That's not humility. That's a man so locked in, he forgot to buy furniture. C tier. Lamar Jackson is a 2-time NFL MVP who negotiated his own $260 million contract, owns a production company called Era Films, and spent $1 million on a Maryland house. Not ironically, he actually just lives there. It has a gym, a jacuzzi, and a game room bar, which is solid for 7 figures. It's the kind of place a sensible person buys when they're focused on building something real. "I just want to win," Lamar said. No mansion speech. Just that. A franchise quarterback with a production company and a starter home budget. C tier. Josh Allen signed a 6-year, $258 million deal in 2021, $150 million guaranteed, and then bought a 3,600 square foot home in Orchard Park, New York for $695,900. 5 minutes from the stadium. That's it. He also quietly picked up a 31-acre plot in Orchard Park for $500,000, which sits undeveloped because apparently owning a field near Buffalo is the move when you're worth $70 million. The thing is, Allen didn't flee to Miami or build a Scottsdale compound. He stayed. Literally, stayed in the same zip code as his job, which sounds like loyalty, but also sounds like he just really likes snow. He did eventually buy a $72 million Dana Point, California place, but listed it for sale after marrying Haley Steinfeld in 2025. Bachelor pad gone, Orchard Park forever. A quarterback who chose community over compound. B tier. Tyreek Hill bought a Miami mansion worth over $5 million, gave the internet a full viral house tour, and was clearly proud of every square foot. Then the house caught fire and got gutted. The property sat in one of Miami's most desirable zip codes, a waterfront adjacent flex with the kind of finishes you show off on YouTube. Hill walked cameras through the whole thing. Custom, everything. The kind of tour where you can tell a guy has already mentally priced out the sequel property. And then the mansion decided it had seen enough. The fire caused significant structural damage, and reports surfaced that the upgrades and renovations Hill had poured into the property weren't fully covered by insurance, which for a guy who signed a 4-year, $120 million deal with the Dolphins in 2022 sounds like it should be avoidable. Somehow, it wasn't. A $5 million home that burns down mid-flex isn't just a property loss, it's a lesson in what happens when you treat real estate like a highlight reel instead of an actual investment. It's a beautiful home, bro. Sure was, Tyreek. G tier. Now Myles Garrett, the Browns DE who looked at his property and thought, what this needs is QB gravestones, a Jeepers Creepers truck out front, and a full Vecna installation from Stranger Things. No disclosed price tag, no viral house tour, no flex architecture, just a man paid to terrorize quarterbacks professionally who decided to bring that energy home every October. Garrett transforms his Cleveland area property into a full haunted house production annually, custom horror installations, themed set pieces, the kind of commitment that makes his neighbors quietly question their life choices. I just love Halloween, man. I go all out. He genuinely does. While other players post marble countertops, Garrett's posting tombstones with opposing QBs' names on them. This house probably isn't worth $20 million, but it went more viral than most that are. That's a flex nobody saw coming. B tier. Matt Stafford apparently looked at Drake's party compound and thought, yeah, I need that. And honestly, hard to argue. Stafford picked up YOLO Estates, Drake's gated California property, reportedly in the $20 million range. What he actually bought, a recording studio he will never use, a tennis-basketball hybrid court, horse trails running across the full compound, and a backyard water park that previously hosted celebrity parties for people significantly more famous than any NFL quarterback. Drake was throwing events here. Stafford is presumably throwing spirals. The thing is, this isn't just a flex purchase, it's a statement purchase. You don't accidentally buy a rapper's party estate. You see the water park, the recording booth, the hybrid sport court, and you think, this is exactly the kind of compound a 2-time Super Bowl champion's wife talks you into. Kelly Stafford absolutely had opinions about this decision, and they were correct. For roughly $20 million, Stafford inherited an entire celebrity lifestyle infrastructure, minus Drake's music career, obviously. Going from Lions quarterback to owner of YOLO Estates might be the most accurate character arc in NFL history. S tier. Aaron Rodgers spent 4 nights alone in a pitch-black cabin in the Wisconsin woods with no light, no phone, and no distractions, voluntarily. And this is a man with a net worth north of $200 million. Around 2020, Rodgers completed a full sensory deprivation darkness retreat in rural Wisconsin. No amenities, no staff, no square footage worth bragging about. Just a quarterback, a log cabin, and whatever existential conversations happen when you can't see your own hand. I did a darkness retreat. 4 nights, alone, in the dark, no light whatsoever. Rodgers could be sleeping in a $25 million compound right now. Instead, he voluntarily removed electricity from the situation and called it a spiritual awakening. 2-time MVP turned off-grid mystic with 1 cabin booking. The NFL's most controversial quarterback didn't just want a house, he wanted a journey. Which sounds reasonable until you remember he could have bought a private island. C tier. Russell Wilson and Ciara paid $25 million for 15,000 square feet in Cherry Hills Village, Colorado in 2022. Wine cellar, home theater, resort-style pool, and enough square footage to get genuinely lost in. And the thing is, this is peak NFL power couple real estate. Ciara's Grammy-winning. Wilson had just signed his $245 million extension with the Seahawks years prior. On paper, this purchase makes complete sense. But then, Wilson got traded to the Broncos, became the league's most expensive statue behind center, threw for a 16-1-1 touchdown to interception ratio in 2022, got benched, released, and somehow landed in Pittsburgh looking for a revival arc. I'm still the guy. I know I'm the guy. Russ, Bud. The guy currently has a $25 million home with a wine cellar he can stare into while processing his NFL career. He went from Super Bowl champion to reclamation project while still paying HOA fees on a resort compound. Ciara's out here performing world tours. Russell's out here performing at a replacement level quarterback convention. The house appreciated, the quarterback did not. C tier. Tom Brady paid $17 million in 2020 for a bare lot. Not a mansion, not a compound, a lot on Indian Creek Island, Miami, nicknamed Billionaire Bunker, where the average neighbor is a hedge fund titan or a foreign head of state, and the island runs its own private police force patrolling the water by boat. Brady didn't just wander in. He planned a fully custom estate from the ground up on one of the most security-fortified private islands in the country. 16-foot walls, armed Marine patrol, roughly 30 residents total. The waiting list reads like a Forbes cover. And the $17 million? That was just for the dirt. The finished estate would likely push total investment north of $50 million. I always want to do things first class. Obviously, Tom. The man retired twice, won 7 Super Bowls, then quietly purchased a private island lot like he was picking up groceries. This isn't real estate. This is a man building a fortress for the next chapter of his life, one where neighbors arrive by helicopter and the mailman needs clearance. S tier. Odell Beckham Jr. was pulling in roughly $18 million a year at his peak. Career earnings north of $60 million. Multiple Nike deals. The face of a generation at receiver. And he was renting. Not just renting a Hollywood Hills home for $35,000 a month. That's $420,000 a year into someone else's equity. No appreciation, no asset. Just a very expensive address on a lease. I feel like wherever I go, I'm going to bring the energy. Sure, OBJ, the energy. And $35K a month to bring it from a hillside someone else owns. This isn't even unusual in the NFL. Guys at peak earnings routinely burn 6 figures annually on rentals because the lifestyle is the point. The investment? Apparently optional, which makes it the perfect bridge into Dak Prescott, who actually built something. C tier. Which makes it the perfect bridge into Dak Prescott, who actually built something. Dak signed a 4-year, $160 million Cowboys deal in 2021 and immediately did what you'd expect from a guy who waited that long for a contract. He built a 20,000 square foot custom estate in Frisco, Texas for roughly $10 million. And it has everything. Home theater, indoor basketball court, golf simulator, the kind of house where you run out of rooms before you run out of money. I feel like this is where I belong. Dallas is home. And Frisco, apparently, is where you park $10 million of that belonging in a zip code that quietly appreciates while you throw touchdowns. Unlike OBJ, Dak owns the asset. Every square foot is his. The equity builds. The golf simulator doesn't care whose name is on the deed. B tier. Marshawn Lynch earned over $70 million across his NFL career, and instead of dropping it on a gated Calabasas compound, he went back to East Oakland and bought property in the neighborhood that raised him. Beast Mode opened a gas station on International Boulevard that doubles as a community center, called Beast Mode's Beast Mode, designed to funnel money back into a zip code that never saw much of it. He's also invested in local real estate and commercial property throughout the area. I'm from Oakland. I'm always gonna represent Oakland. The thing is, most guys build outward. Lynch built back inward. No home theater, no golf simulator, just a man with $70 million deciding his block deserved the investment more than his square footage did. That's not a flex. That's somehow rarer than a flex. A tier. Von Miller somehow looked at a $100 million NFL career and decided what he really needed was chickens. Miller owns a working chicken farm and ranch property in Aurora, Texas, a functional agricultural estate he's maintained throughout his playing days. It's not a vanity project either. The ranch anchors his lifestyle brand, feeds into merchandise deals, and quietly appreciates as inflation hammers real estate markets everywhere else. I love my chickens, man. That's my thing. A diversified agricultural asset producing actual eggs while most guys are producing Instagram content. B tier. Antonio Brown earned over $80 million across his NFL career. Then he rented a $6 million Tampa area waterfront home during his Buccaneers stint, stopped paying for it, got sued by the landlord, and was evicted. Apparently, $80 million doesn't automatically cover rent. The Tampa property was a legitimate flex. Waterfront views, prime location, the kind of place you tour on YouTube and immediately feel bad about your life. AB was living there during his brief stretch alongside Tom Brady, which ended when he walked off the field mid-game against the Jets in January 2022 and exited football in real time. The eviction lawsuit followed shortly after, with the landlord alleging thousands in unpaid rent on a home that cost more than most people's entire net worth. I'm not gonna change for nobody. This isn't a cautionary tale about a broke player. This is a guy who earned generational money, rented instead of buying, then couldn't cover the bill. That's not a real estate strategy. That's a lifestyle audit no one asked for. This sits comfortably at the bottom, which makes Jalen Hurts' disciplined approach up next feel like a masterclass by comparison. F tier. Jalen Hurts signed a 5-year, $255 million Eagles extension in April 2023, the richest quarterback deal on the planet at the time. The man who negotiated that contract then apparently went home to a modest Philadelphia area residence that wouldn't make a Zillow highlight reel. No helipad, no resort pool, no 50-yard backyard field. Hurts has been publicly deliberate about financial discipline since his Alabama days, and that philosophy clearly extends to square footage. While teammates flexed coastal compounds, Hurts quietly kept his footprint small and his overhead smaller. I just want to be great. I want to win. His real estate says the same thing. Nothing flashy, nothing wasted, everything intentional. For a guy sitting on a $250 million contract, choosing boring on purpose is somehow the most interesting move on this list. Joe Burrow made a different call, trading suburban sprawl for a Cincinnati penthouse. That's next. B tier. Joe Burrow signed a $219.8 million extension and apparently looked at 8-acre suburban compounds, private ponds, and 50-yard backyard football fields and said, "No thanks, I'll take a penthouse." Burrow settled into a Cincinnati high-rise instead of the sprawling NFL standard estate, which sounds like a quarterback who genuinely enjoys being able to order delivery without a golf cart. No groundskeeping crew, no gated driveway half a mile long, no HOA newsletter about the neighbor's fence. The thing is, after watching this entire list cycle through burning mansions, eviction lawsuits, and $35,000 a month rentals, choosing a low-maintenance urban penthouse with a $209.8 million contract behind it might quietly be the most rational real estate decision we've covered. I just want to play football and win games. His penthouse agrees. Everything intentional, nothing wasted, and somehow zero acreage. B tier. But if Joe Burrow looked at the NFL Mansion playbook and quietly opted out, Patrick Mahomes looked at it and said, "Let me write a new one from scratch." After signing the $503 million Chiefs deal in 2020, the largest athlete contract in US history at the time, Mahomes didn't rush to buy somebody else's house. He bought 8 acres of land in Belton, Missouri for around $400,000 and just waited, planned, built exactly what he wanted. What he wanted was a private pond, a resort-style pool, and a 50-yard football field in his backyard, which sounds reasonable if you're a quarterback and completely unhinged if you're anyone else. The finished compound clocked in at $8 million, completed in 2023, 3 years after breaking ground. Sitting on those same 8 acres, he quietly locked down the moment ink dried on his contract. I knew I wanted to be here, so when I did that, I was like, I'ma be here, I might as well build the exact house I want. And he did. He also owns a $337 million mansion in Westlake, Texas, purchased in 2020 because apparently one dream home is just a warm-up. The thing is, this entire build started from that $350K condo we opened this list with. Same guy, same city, just a $500 million and a backyard football field later. S tier. And then there's Deion Sanders. Primetime didn't buy a house, he bought a territory. The man's 109-acre estate in Prosper, Texas is assessed at $21 million, and that number doesn't even fully capture what's sitting on it. Private lake, helicopter pad, indoor gym, recording studio. The kind of property checklist that makes you think someone handed an 8-year-old a blank sheet of paper and said, "Go wild." Sanders built this on NFL Hall of Fame earnings, then kept it running through broadcasting deals, coaching at Colorado, and enough media appearances to fund a small country. He didn't downgrade into retirement, he upgraded into a compound. I don't do anything small, never have, never will. And he means it. The helicopter pad alone tells you everything. This isn't a man who deals with traffic. The thing is, we've been through 20 properties on this list. We started with Mahomes' $350K condo, watched guys spend $35K a month on rentals they don't own, and witnessed one mansion literally catch fire. And at the very top sits a guy who played in the NFL 20 years ago and still somehow has the most aggressively absurd real estate on the entire list. Deion Sanders didn't just redefine what a player compound looks like. He made every other house on this list feel like a starter home. S+ tier. Subscribe to the channel for more tier lists like this.